Diyos maray na aldaw sa inyong mga tugang. Yaw na naman kami ngunyan para sa ikaduwang season kan sa tuyang programang Rakdag. Although, Father Philip, no, haloy kitang napundo, no?
Yeah.
Haloy kitang nawara.
Pero kay gwakita ning itong inapod ng hibernation, bagapod kaya, no?
Forced hibernation.
Oo. Ining season tangon yan, season 2, the resurrection.
Force majeure.
Easter pa kay ano. Anong dahilan nga ni partner kung tano ta nagkaigwa kita ning itong inabot tang
Hibernation.
lal. Ano nga pa lal? Ayan na pa yan lal. Kung tano nagkaigwa kita ning temporary
ang simpleng paliwanag sa naman dyan, iyon ang binisita kita ning duwang mga makukusog na bagyo na sa pagka-baret ako nga ni na apektadong marian sa imong simbahan duman sa Nabwa. As in, Father, can you give us an update kung ano na nangyari duman sa parokya, sa simbahan, na kombento?
Well, sa dinhuli tag kombento made of light materials pa ang girar to. Pero kunyan restore mi man and nakabalik man ang dalagan kang nawara so kuryente, so internet, pati sa sasakyan ko. Talagang mayong mobility, no? Talagang stay put lang kita sa parokya. So pero ngunyan dikit-dikit nakakabangon naman kami.
Okay.
Nakabalik na si Converge.
So may connectivity na kamo.
Uga na kaming connectivity.
Pwede ka man, Father Philip, mag-appeal sa satuyang. Ito mga paradala.
Ang Rakdag talagang
nabubuhay
talaga kita. Duman na talaga kita. Yaw na talaga kita dyan eh. Oo. Yaw na kita. But sabihon, ano nga pod ka ini? Resilience. Yan inapod ng ecclesiastical, parochial resilience. Resilience.
Okay. So, talagang naghingo man, I'm sure, si mga parokyano mo na maibalik giraray sa dati. At least the nearest normal that we can. Status kang parokya ng Father.
Kumbaga namati ko to dun si Rakdag without the taping talagang mamati mo na mapun kagiraray talaga duman sa Rakdag tanganing makabilog kagiraray nin sarong proyekto, sarong nahiling ko nga ni iduman sa sa Facebook mo pigpapara-like ko sa na itong irahayon. Ano to? Itong
hirahayon. Itong
hirahayon 2.0. Ano to?
May community-based shelter rebuilding program kaming nagibota. Maswerte kami digdi sa parokya dahil kaming tinamaan na gayo ang maying naraot na buildings masyado and everything was seemingly normal, pero ang makahirak itong sa tuyang mga tugang na yaon sa laylayan nga ni na talagang pakatapos kang bagyo flat as in ground zero may nasindang istaran. So dahil man ma-afford kan sa tuyang parokya na inot pagiribon sindang bagong harong. So ang first recourse me was to help sa paghirahay kang mga harong nila. So we didn't promise them na maagibo kaming bagong harong, kundi matabang kami sa mga materyales sa paghirahay. But then later on, nag-evolve kasi may principle nga ni sa social action na you build back better. So, sabi mo nga ni Subago, you are ecclesiastically resilient kita, so we are also teaching our parishioners to be really resilient pag at least a basic necessity like ang harong. So when we help them rebuild their homes, we will try to rebuild a better kind of houses. And so nagkaigoning 2.0 version, and hopefully maka-igwa na kami ning 3.0 na version, which is medyo mas sturdy na materials.
Actually, duman sa Samuya, day mi mang kaya talagang magpatugdok. Tainot nga ni dapat inuton si kumbentong itugdok. Pero since tulong barangay lang ang sakop kang parokya, nagpili lang ako ning tigsararo talagang sa kada parokya barangay na ito talagang mayong-mayo na tabangan man. So nasa process kami katong nakapili na kami, naka-identify na kaming tulo. So inapod ming Baloy ni San Jose.
Oh, nice.
So itong
Baloy ni San Jose.
Baloy ni San Jose, Rinconada, Baloy. Yaong kita sa taon ni San Jose. Ayaw man yan ang pigproklama ni Santo Papa. So sabihin ko, yaon ang simplicity kayan. Kasi San Jose Carpintero baga. So ilingon takon papaano ining ang kasimplihan kay ni. So yaon pa kami sa proseso, Father.
Magayon.
Baloy ni San Jose.
So yun ang magayon sa tuya sa simbahan ta. Ang number one resource ta inut ang mga parokyano ta. We have the faithful. And then pag pinagsararoan sa tuya mga resources, human, financial, and ang skills, then kadakol kitang magiginibo actually. Kadakol kitang pwedeng matabangan. So, I'm so happy to hear about Baloy ni San Jose.
Yes, kaya nga nito.
Baka yung Baloy ni Philip,
Ayun, naluwas talaga. From crisis comes opportunity. And mahiling mo naman ang creativity. Bako lang ang resilience, pati ang creativity. Kung how do we target this one? So, bako, di kita nagagamit kan mga foreign concept. Hirahay, hali sa Bicol na hirahay. Rahay, karahayan, goodness, yaon man dyan ang irahay, repair, building, restoration, yaon ang mga konseptong aro kaya na as in sa muya man imbes na harong taday man maintindihan kang mga taga-Rinconada, baloy which balay, which is also meaning
very
house. Indigenous hali. Pero piglaw ko na ulit taon ni San Jose. Si San Jose bilang saro man simpleng karpintero. Kaya aram na nindo kung anong arong ito. Bako itong mga day ko man sabi konkreto, kundi itong may dignidad, may decency.
Tama.
Na ansaro sa Greek tataramon baga tekton.
Wow.
Duwayan either carpenter or mason or architect. So mahiling niya to na kaya kung mga nakaduman sa Holy Land, mayo man talagang kahoy, puro gapo. Kung mahiling mo ang harong talagang ni Jesus kay ito, talagang stone house, mason si San Jose. Oo. Pwedeng karpintero, pwedeng mason. Tas sabi baga ni Jesus, the one who builds a house on the rock, not on the sand, will endure. Kaya pagparahilingan niya si ama niya si San Jose. Matibay nga pala ning magmason, magkatap, nga pod kyan, maggibong hollow blocks.
Mga CHB na.
Yung mga bloke.
Early version ka mga CHB. So na-mention mo si San Jose, Father Philip, and aram niya to na makulor na maray ang celebration niya to na taon 2021 in Hulita. Ang Pope nag-declare this is also a, for the whole church, year of Saint Joseph.
Okay.
In fact, may pigdagdag pa nga nita, ikalimang anibersaryo kang Amoris Laetitia. So he says
controversial yan.
Which is also
apostolic exhortation.
On the family. After following the synod of the family. So sabi niya, this is also the year of Amoris Laetitia. But here in the Philippines, sa satuyang banwaan, aram niya ito na postponed na nga ini. Supposedly 2021 ang culminating activity kani, but because of the pandemic, it has to be pushed to 2022. So we mark 2021 most especially around April 17 as the start of the year-long celebration or the culminating activity of para sa satuyang 500 years of Christianity or Christianization.
Tama, 500 years of Christianity. Okay. So, anong kahalaga? Gaano kahalaga ang 500 years? Ayun, 500 years. From the economic point of view, garumayang halaga. Ang inflation tabaga nga niyan, 4.7. So, percent. Halang kawan na maray. Ang 500 mo, babawasan mo ng 5%. So, sabi yun na minus 5% kung 500, mabawas ka dyan ng 5 pesos. Siguro, no? 250 times 250. So kulang na ning ang sa imong purchasing power. Pero bako kita about 500. Ang but sa diyon ka 500 years kan sa tong pagiging Katoliko.
Siguro yan ang magiging pag-ulayan tanong yan, Father Philip, sa season 2 kan sa tuyang Rakdag. Siguro sa first part pag-ulayan niya to, let's go back kung ano man agad ang ipinagsiselebrar nga to. As in, siguro sa second part, paano niya to dapat ini i-celebrar. Siguro, mako man ini yung mga normative sa to yung mga paghihirasan ko niyan. Kundi, ini opinion sa naman ini kan doang paroko, doang parish priest na naghihingo ang masabutan ang mga kahulugan kan mga ginigibo niya tong anibersaryo. Kadakol-dakol kitang anibersaryo. I'm sure kadakol activities na ka-line up. Pero, ano ba talaga ang sa tuyang ipinagse-celebrar, Father Philip?
Not siguro para sa sako sarong dakulang kapasalamatan, no? It's with a sense of gratitude na nakaabot kita sa 500 na years na yan. Pero siguro kay puhanta talaga ang magsalingoy, kaya kay puhantaan historian, ang historiador, kadakol mga bagay na posibleng day niya to, day na ito nasabutan sa presente kung taano ta nakaabot kita digdi. But ako masasabi ko lang bilang simpleng kuraparo ko na ang providensya ni mahal na Diyos padagos from the point of view na day kita pinabayaan ng kagurangnan. And it's really like, you see, really, God is a God of surprises, no? Na sa ipapang-tweet niya ang ika-500 na taon sa panahon ng pandemya. So, it would say, garo baga, nasabi ka na, kung yaon ang providensya ni mahal na Diyos, ang karahayan ni mahal na Diyos na ang pagtubod niya, pigso-sustain sa 500 na taon. Yeah. Yaon man itong ito bagang pag-testing, pagprobar, kang pagtubod na sige nga ni ngunya na panahon na 500 years gabos kita socially distant. So gabos kita nakatago sa satong harong. As in day kita pwedeng makagibo kan dati tang ginigibo. So di ba are we really at the point, are we in the crossroads, or are we really in the point of making a kind of a major decision sa satong pagtubod kung pasain talaga kita? Ano ba talaga yung direction after 500 years? Where is our faith moving forward to? Or what direction?
And I think very providential, as gagamitin ko itong sabi mong providential na gigibo niya to ang culminating activity sa taon ng pandemya. And I think it's very helpful na mabawasan itong triumphalism. Ito bagang, okay, let's languish on this feeling na, ano mo yan, naabot ang 500 years, matibay kita, we're the predominantly Catholic country, we're the third largest Catholic population and everything. So I think we have to give it, second thought or third thought, by the mere fact na, ano mensahe ng kagurangnan, papag-celebrarong kita, kang anibersarong ini sa taon ng pandemya na, aram niya to na sa tao na ini, we were discovered to be, weak, contingent, nangangaipo talaga sa mahal na Diyos.
Yeah, ito nga ning niya sa parokya, no, after katong Typhoon Rolly, no, nakadakol distroso, reflection ko, kadakol ni strukturang naraot, so there is a very kind of instability and uncertainty of the future na when you establish a certain when you are already at home with your comfort zone, later on kagong ka, then tanganing maghiro ka. So therefore ang hapot ko is hain talaga ba where is the church during that in that time, no? Is it really in that the physical structure, or is it really in the community and the people moving forward, or are struggling to survive in this midst of pandemic? So ito na-experience ako na mas dakula pala ang konsepto kang simbahan na bako sa na itong mga bagay na konektado sa satong physical na paka midmid kang simbahan, kundi mas dakula pa pala digdi. Kaya,
Tama.
if this pandemic did not make us humble, nothing will, no?
Yeah.
So if
True.
this pandemic does not move us into introspection, pag-urop-hurop, pag
Yeah.
ano,
Mayo ng ibang makakapag-horop
sayang,
sa tuya.
we will
Yeah, we
miss
have
this.
lost the chance.
We have lost the chance. There is something there. Kaya sabi ko, it's not just a mere project or initiative. This 500 years for me calls for an inward examination kang pagiging Katoliko as in pagiging simbahan.
Tama. In fact, itong ginagamit na slogan or theme niya na gifted to give na hali sa Matthew 10. I think, well, before we are able to give, then we are first to realize na we have been gifted.
Mhm.
And in fact, ang espiritualidad nga rin kang Kristyanismo, yun na hilingon ang gabos na bagay as regalo ni mahal ng Diyos, as St. Paul would tell us. And I think if we are to, ako historian, kaya I would like to situate it in a very historical
Can
manner.
you share our giftedness?
Ang giftedness, I'd like to see the coming of Christianity here as a big gift. If we try to examine ang sitwasyon kang Pilipinas, well, that's a very anachronistic term, but for the facility of a reference, ang Pilipinas kay itong panahon, bago ini manumbra ng Pilipinas, we are situated in a, predominantly ang palibuta Buddhist Islam. And then even ang Banwaan niya to is one of the largest archipelago in the whole world with more than 7,100 islands. And pag abot kan mga kasila, there were already more or less 100 plus na ethno-linguistic community.
Mhm.
We were divided by culture, by a political system, maniriba-ibang lingwahe, maniriba-ibang si mga early contacts niya to of iba-ibang kultura. And yet ngunyan we consider ourselves to be predominantly Christian country. So paano ito nangyari? Na sabi nga ni Father John Schumacher, mayo pa ning ibang bansa na before the 19th century ang na-evangelize as yung extensive and then as in nag-penetrate sa culture ng tao other than the Philippines. So I think aram mo yan, we have the saying na yung cheesy saying na the universe conspired. It was a very perfect timing na all throughout these years ang Christianity maglaog sa sarong kultura na receptive, who was willing to appropriate it, who was willing to make compromises in order to for it to accept it, and to think na bako man niya to nagustuhan gabos na dinarakan mga kang mga inot na misyonaryo, even itong the political and then the colonizing power that came with it. But we were able to distinguish between the two, na Kristyanismo, pagtubod kay Jesus, and we were able to distinguish from the Spanish crown or the motives kang colonization, amassment of wealth, itong extension of territories, so annexation of territory. So we were able to distinguish between these things, and we were able to hold on to this faith. So I would say na nahiling kan Pilipino ang dakulang balaog na ini.
So sa kuyang thank you sa pag-share mo manunungod sa mga historical details manunungod kay ining sa tuyang Christianization na saro sabi mong regalo, giftedness sa to. And I think it was really a great kumbaga a surprise that was peacefully in a way, and that this was accepted by our ancestors. Itong masabi ko, pag silang peacefully, baka may mag-react dyan, no? May mag-react. may mag-react dyan. Pero itong sabihin na ng lovingly assimilated, that was a great surprise. Pero kung sasabihin kang iba, it can be a disruption. Pero actually, it has become integral part of our history bilang bilang komunidad,
Banwaan, okay.
bilang sarong banwaan. With all this intricacy sa history, pasasabi mo, did our Catholic faith, this Catholic faith that we receive, shape our identity as we are now? In what way? Paano mo nahiling bilang sarong historian? How did it shape as a nation, as a culture, or as a people?
Yeah, I'd like to believe that we were very much shaped by Christianity itself. In fact, dawa, sinasabi ko nga subago, dawa man iriba-ibang linguistic community kita. And yet, almost in the same manner, inako niya to an pagtubod ani. Despite itong, ano ba itong magkakaiba kitang lingwahe. When you try to examine the different Roman missals na available sa Pilipinas right now, man iriba-ibang lingwahe probably we have. Pero, may continuity itong the proclamation of the same Jesus Christ. And I think na-reinforce nga ni itong sa tuyang like belief in the supreme being, for example. Nayaon na bago pa mag-abot ang mga misyonero, igwa na kitang bathala, igwa na kitang kagurangnan. So it was reinforced, and it was very fertile for Christianity na pag-abot niya, ready na sa mga tao. It wasn't very hard for them. And I'd like also to give credit to the missionaries who really did a lot of creativity in proclaiming the gospel. So dapat attune din sila sa kultura kan mga Pilipino. And I would dare say, we were shaped a lot on how we think, I think. And kung paano kita mabuhay sa ngunyan, ang pagkatakot sa mahal na Diyos. Sabi nga ni Ken, there are good things, and then there are like also we cannot do away with some abuses. So I think I would agree to that na it shape a lot.
It seems that every century, every epoch of our history, after the Christianization, coming of the Spaniards, we have symbols. Like for example, when Magellan came, it was the Santo Niño, who was received by our ancestors. Okay, and then on the 16th century, the devotion to Jesus Nazareno came. Also, on the 17th century, the devotion to Peña Francia also came. You see, there are some kind of symbols where we hold, where we attach or we connect our faith.
And they are very much intertwined with a particular culture.
Yes, and then there's 18th century, and then here comes the 19th century, the Enlightenment, and all this propaganda, the Philippinization and secularization also of the clergy. You can see that it's not really by accident para sa sakuya na they man talaga kumbaga accidental so nangyari. Kundi there is a guiding force, there's a guiding hand all throughout this one. Okay. Sa pagtalubo niya to bilang pagtubod.
Magayon na naman rin ang sinabi mo, Father Philip, in the guiding hand, and then you see things falling into place. So siguro we will discuss more of that sa ikaduhang parte kan sa tuyang programa, and as we look forward and look inside ourselves as we celebrate the 500 years of Christianity.
Thank you.
Welcome back mga tugang sa ikaduhang parte kan sa tuyang pag-urulay ngunya na aga ang Rakdag. So Father Philip, pinag-uulayan ta subago nga ni itong dakulang selebrasyon kang bilog na Pilipinas sa ika-500 na taon kan pag-ako niya to kan Kristyanismo o kang Kristiyanong pagtubod, as in na pag-ulayan niya to ang character kay ni as sarong regalo para sa satuya. And that's why this year, sabi kang CBCP, in fact for 9 years we have already been preparing for this, sa pag-abot kan taon na itong 9 pastoral priorities. As in pinili nila na ang pastoral theme tangon niya na 2021 will be on, sabi kang Missio ad Gentes. So Father Philip, ano nga nibut sabihin kang Missio ad Gentes? Paliwanag ta sa mga nagdadaralan.
Of course, masabi ang mga ordinaryong tao. Demi po naintindihan pa.
Latin na naman.
Latin po. Kaya ngayon, Father. So, Bicolon taon kan mission sa mga o kan mga nasyon?
Sa mga nasyon.
O, mission sa Okay, mission sa mga nasyon. So, but sabihon, ugang pangapudan na maging misyonero. Maging misyonero. Pasain. Minsan, misyonero sa sadiri niya tong komunidad, sa diyang parokya, o misyonero sa ibang komunidad, sa luwas kan sa tuyang confines kan sa tong pagiging Katoliko. Kaya minsan pinaghurup-hurupan ko daw duman sa parokya ko, Father, sa totoo lang, sa tulong barangay, we have 10,000 population. Dahil ko pa, talagang miridbid gabos ito. Ang miridbid ko lang nagsisirimba pag Domingo, more or less, 1/10 of the population, which is 10,000. 1,000 iyo ang napano pagkaagang misa, as in pagkahapon.
True.
So therefore, there are many unchurched. So, pigisipisan ko bilang simpleng kuro-parok ko, am I going to be a missionary to the unchurched? Itong day nagraralaog sa simbahan, itong mga peripheries, kabali na dyan si mga nagka-apektuhan kang ining pandemya, as in Super Typhoon Rolly, or am I situating myself in a bigger scheme na Katoliko kitang simbahan, bilang Katoliko kitang nasyon, magluwas kita, as in iyon naman ang panahon ngunyan na kung ang mga Espanyol iyo ang evangelize sa satuya, kita naman daw magdumanta ang Espanya ngunyan secularized, mayo naman talagang pagtubo, dikit na nagdwindle na ang pagtubod sa Europa, as in sa iba pa, hanggang ngunyan nga ni sa Asia sana minority pa manggiraray kita. So with the 87% population, anong maikukontributa digdi sa konteksto kang Asia bilang simbahan? Kaya nahiling ko ugwaning inward movement from the point of view of sarong pastor, igwa maning outward na dahil ko aram kun dakulao na ining maray, anong maikukontribute ko dyan. So, ngunyan, naghurup-hurup ako, Father, pigiling ko man ang programa, ang initiative, kan parokya, garo overwhelming actually. Pagsabing Missio ad Gentes sa mga nasyon, nakakatakot actually. Nakakatakot. Ano ining mga nasyon na ini?
Pwede OFW ka naman.
Kadakol nga ning OFW na mayo nga yaon sa tuya. Baralik mayong trabaho. Mayong siman. Mayo ning mga trabaho, Father. So, but sabihon, babaralik sin dadigdi sa sato because of COVID-19, because of pandemya. So, ika, Father, sa paghurup-hurup mo, what is this theme all about?
Well, ining Missio ad Gentes na ini, this is a very challenging concept. Pero in fact, I'd like to go back again. Pero may akong always going backward. Hopefully ba ko sa yung pagkabuhay. Kundi, I would always go back to that giftedness na pagpasalamat. Ining Missio ad Gentes, kita ang bunga ka ini actually. Si mga inot na mga misyonero, kung dahil sila nagluwas sa saindang comfort zones, as in dinara ang ebanghelyo duman sa mga daipan nila naabot na daga. In fact, ang apod nga na isa to far east kasi talagang harayo kita sa consciousness nila. I'd like to see it as a big gift in the sense na igwang nagmangno na from afar para darahon ini sa satuya. So, we are actually a product of this cute slogan na ginagamit niya ito mo niyan, na may nagdara, may nagregalo sa satuya. Kaya ako, pinmi kong binabalikan, Father, baga itong cliche na ginagamit kang kadaklan sa satuya, na dahil nagbabasang history na Christianity, the cross came with the sword. Well, true. Totoo man agad talaga na nangyari ini. Pero it is not as if na ang Kristyanismo pinirit sa satuya. Kaya pag sinabi mo ini, pag klinay mo ini na kita, we were passive spectators, we were, easily to be oppressed and, to be imposed on kan mga misyonero, kaibahan ng mga conquistador. What does it make us, Filipinos, daraog-daog lang kita. And I'd like to believe the Filipino people appropriated ang pagtubod na ini with the help, of course, of exemplary missionaries. They were not all bad eggs in the first place. Ikaw mga udok sa buot, handang magadan. In fact, sa kaitong panahon gani, ang mga misyonero, pag minahali sila sa indang port, ang mindset up ninda is dahil na sila mabalik. Dahil na kami mabalik. Magagadang kami kung saan kami paduman. Now, isn't this exemplary? Well, sabihin tang iba man ang pagkasabot nila katong panahon, ang worldview ninda. But there were good missionaries na, according to the historian nga ni si Father John Schumacher, sabi niya, during the 16th and 17th century, mahiling mo kung paano pig-evangelize kan mga misyonero ang mga natives kay itong panahon. In fact, the Dominicans, they did not want the presence of armed soldiers whenever they evangelize. Tapos, well, sinasabi nila, well, may reduction, pinapaduman sa sentro, they were forced to settle down, but you cannot force religion. Pwedeng magsunod sa imo physically, pero not necessarily religion. So, at some point in time, mahiling mo din ang kooperasyon kang mga natives. It was not, you cannot force upon religion without, seeing the goodness out of it. Sabihin tang, igwa pang mixed clan, igwang mayaon si forced labor, yaon si itong mga bad eggs na conquistadores, encomenderos, and yet, there were good examples that really inspired a lot of people. So I think yung Missio Ad Gentes, on the first part of it, we should be thankful for these missionaries. Now, although of course, igwaning, it did not come very clean, in a very clean slate, and yet, nahiling taan karahay na ni. And then, we probably could move forward. Ano nang ngunit ang ginibuta sa regalong ini na dinara sa satuya, Father?
And I remember also, Nick Wakina, in his book, Culture and History, na although, ngunyan baga ang fad and fashion about post-colonialism, decolonization, deconstructionism, na garo baga pigwi blame taan na nakalipas, allergic kita anything that is Hispanic or anything that is Hispanic connected with Spain. We try to forget, we want to be, we have such a dementia or amnesia, habot agad ko sa halion ta, and mina balik kita duman sa pre-Hispanic, pre-Hispanic. I really do not
romanticism.
know. I really do not know if kung we really will be able to establish or recover but for sure there are elements, but whether there is such as a culture established by the Spaniards, kaya lang with the merits, I'm not disregarding that this is a valid interpretation in post-colonialism, but I want to look at it from the point of view na we cannot disregard what really happened and the facticity, what really happened there, and then looking beyond, as you have said, it did not come with a clean slate, the history, but we cannot discount the passion of the zeal of these missionaries. And if you will, like for example, I'll cite the first Bishop of Manila, Domingo de Salazar, who was actually the Dominican bishop who really fought for the rights of the Indios. That's why he gained the kind of the attribution, the Bartolome de las Casas of the Philippines.
Yep.
So, you see, conscious ang mga misyonero na hindi mo pwedeng pag-isahin yung espada at saka yung pananampalataya. So, clear na clear sa kanila yung distinction na yon, at they are willing to die for it. And they were willing to die with the Indios, with the not yet Filipinos during that time, with the natives, with the natives.
And even
So
ang
that's
church
exactly-
baga along down the history ang satuyang simbahan. Well, nag-thrive siya sa man-iriba-ibang kultura, whether this is in the form of sa ancient history, ancient churches mahiling natin, from a very simple community to a persecuted community to an imperial community. We have Charlemagne, forcing some of the Saxons to accept Christianity. And then later on, the medieval ages, naging institutional church ita. And then it became a missionary church. So, and yet, yaon manggiraray ang pagtubod duman, no matter kung pirang patos ang ilag mo digdi, people are able to distinguish, I think, the goodness within it. And kaya nga sabi ko, nararaot lang because of one sweeping statement na sabi tao, colonization, Christianity came with colonization. And then, sarupang caricature is like Fray Damaso na ginamit ni Rizal sa iyang novel No Limitangere ni Alfilino. This is he's not even a historical figure but a literary figure. Well, probably representing the bad eggs, the bad friars. But what is this in contrast with historical figures like St. Peter Baptist? Like Domingo Salazar, like kadakul-dakul na mga misyonero niya, itong mga naging marhay, na who are ready to brave the seas, ang kadagatan, and the unknown territory, the unmarked territory. These are historical figures na dahil mo pwedeng madiskwento in just one sweeping, mga Fray Damaso ka mo. Diba? So, I think it needs also a lot of education on our part, na a lot of reading effort on our part, to enrich our faith. Na let us not be contented with, sound bites, with popularization of, the meme attitude or the meme mentality. So, let's dig in with the facts, siguro.
And then let us also be guided by the fact that we have to distinguish the time in applying the certain laws, distingue tempora et concordabiris jura. Meaning to say, the Fray Damaso is a literary character given by Jose Rizal in one of his great novel, Noli Me Tangere, during the time when there is a decadence already. That's the 19th century. There's a 19th century decadence when you say that there is a call for the secularization, Filipinization of the clergy, and
towards the twilight of the Spanish.
Towards the twilight of the Spanish regime. So it does not eclipse, that's the term, does not eclipse all the positive contributions of the earlier great missionaries. Itong mga nagpundar kan mga nasyon, ay kan mga municipalidad, the culture, and
pueblos.
The pueblos, etc. So, you see.
So, given this great gift that we have na itinauso sa tuya. So, ano masasabi mo, Father Philip, sa, halimbawa, dahil na kita magpararay, halimbawa sa Satuyang Archdiocese, masasabi daw niya to na napahalagahan niya to ang pagtubod na ini. Ano ang mga conscious efforts on our part as a church, as a local church? Tanganing araw mo yun, mas maataman niya to, mapangatamanan niya to ang pirang gatos na mga misyonerong pinabulos ang sa indang dugo kadigdi. What are we doing as a local church?
An pasasalamat na ang titular patron ta sarong Franciscanong Santo Misionero, si San Pedro Bautista. So maili niya to, this only proves na day man talaga siya napadigdi tanganing from the point of view of conquest, conquista, kundi from the point of view of sanctitas, kabanalan. Kung ang ginibot tanganing titular patron ining si San Pedro Bautista na nakalakaw, nakaabot digdi hanggang Baaw,
Nagtundas ng mga banwaan.
nagtundas ng mga rancheria
Rancheria,
mga
pueblos.
pueblos, etc. So mahiling niya to na talagang we are actually indebted and grateful for these founders, the missionaries. And the challenge now para sa Sakuya man, ano ang ginibo o ano ang ginibo bilang para sa from the point of view as diocese, paano ta pinangalagaan an pagtubod na ini, ang regalong ini na nagikitang diocese kan 1595. So but sabiyon talagang halos harani kita sa kapinunan kang Kristyanismo, no?
Yep.
Harani kita bilang
1571 yung settlement na ni Miguel Lopez.
Oo, 1595 kita. So harani kita. So ang ko is bilang sarong archdiocese ang ko is kumusta sa tong awareness or consciousness bilang particular na simbahan digdi. So yan ang ko is how are we a kind of what is our contribution? What is our contribution or share in the propagation or in the of this faith?
Yeah, ako nga sabi ko ang hapot ko sa mga kapwa ko padi. Pira sa satuyang mga halimbawa hubin-hubin na padi ang nakakaisikan, inagihan kan sa kan mga nagkairinot sa satuya. Pira sa satuya ang nag-aaram kang journey na ining paglakbay na ini kan satuyang archdiocese. Like day na kita magduman sa 1595. Let's go back like towards the 1980s and 1990s lang. The good Archbishop Legazpi was responsible for convening the PCP2, and at the same time habang sabi nga ni kan sarong eyewitness si Father Gary, habang nagpi-PCP2 sa Manila, he was already preparing the Archdiocese of Cáceres para saluhon si bunga kang PCP2. This kind of thinking na forward thinking na iandam mo ang Archdiocese na talagang maisihan ano ang pangangaipo kan tao. Kasi part of the preparation was really to go on a survey and ask people, ano ang gusto nindong mabago sa simbahan ta? Ano ang mga dapat nga mong gibuhon? In order to come up with a very reliable and up to date and grounded na pastoral program. And I think not much of us priests are still very much aware of this journey that we have made. Na can it trickle down, this concern for the people kung pasayan ng satuyang simbahan, does it trickle down necessarily to our parish, for example? I would say na not everyone will be prepared for this. Not everyone is ready to listen. If ever you have a pastoral plan sa imong parokya, is it born out of the listening, that sincerity on your part na madangog talaga sinda kung ano talaga ang sa indang pangangaipo. Tibad ito mga bagay na ini-impose ta. Now, we do not want that to happen, na pwedeng mga katal ang satuyang mga programa na siguro born out of our own education or our own limitation and our, mga kagustuhan sa buhay. We are, unconsciously imposing this to these people. So, I think, tama itong sinasabi mo. This celebration for the 500 years, inaapod kita na maghiling sa satuya. Before we go to the crowd, sabi nga ni Ken, let us first go to the core. Are we conscious kang dakulang balaog na ini na ang tatawan niya to kan mga balaog na ini, for example, is this really what they want? Is this what really they need? And how are we going to share it? Probably.
As a reflection ko kang temang gifted to give, it seems for me that it is a prerequisite, a condition sine qua non, that we appreciate first our giftedness before we are able to have the impetus or we have that to give. Because it says that it will be ironic that we are so excited to give, but we don't know what are we going to give. We do not know really, yun sinasabi, the core. So what is our identity? What is our distinction? What is our uniqueness? So self-awareness of our giftedness is important in our faith, because it's just like it says that identity comes first before being before doing. Esse before agere. So to be and before to do.
Yeah. True.
So, and could it be also that perhaps we are called to give, but we have to acknowledge that first we received, but we are still in the process of receiving also, from the point of view that we can also learn and receive from the gentes. Like for example, misyo ad gentes, mission sa mga nasyon. Does it mean that the nation is totally ignorant of all, and they don't have any experience at all of the divine, or whatever? They don't have experience of Jesus? Look at the Pope when he visited Iraq. Those Christians there persecuted, almost annihilated by the ISIL and the ISIS, like that. He learned when he visited the Grand Ayatollah, Ibrahim al-Sistani. Sistani, he seemed not to talk at all. He's very sober, etc. But I do not know. Perhaps the Pope learned something from him by his presence, recalling Saint Francis going to
Abraham.
Going to Abraham.
We are brothers.
And that kind of legend that he went to and then tried to talk with Al-Malik, Al-Kamil, that nephew of Salahidin during that time. So there's a comparison. So can we learn also from the gentes? Can we learn also from those in the peripheries? Can we learn also, I think the approach of the Archdiocese of BEC, Samahang Kristyanong Saradit na Kristyanong Komunidad, and listening to this one, listening to this mga saradit nasa laylayan, perhaps we will realize that we have more to receive than to give. And we can still learn from those who are actually in the peripheries or in the minorities.
And I think sabi ko nga Subago, yung pandemic should have purged us of any traces of triumphalism and messianic complex along the way. Na kami ang mga misyonero, kami ang nag-ako kang dakulang balaog, kaya kami ang matao sa indukan ni Kristo. Well, when in fact, ang mission ta talaga is like not to indulge sa feeling na kadakol lang kitang nagibo, kadakol lang nangyari sa Satuya, we are a privileged elite. Mapagibo kitang mga monumento, mapagibo kitang ng mga, mga memorya kan sa tuyang kapangganahan and everything. I don't think that is the trust of the celebration this year. And I would agree to the fact now, let us listen to the peripheries, to the people living in the peripheries, because we have so much to learn from them. For so long a time, nalingawan ta actually sinda. We have been contented with the, sabi mo nga ni, 10% kang sa tuyang mga parokyano nagsisimba, we're all okay. For as long as igwan ng benefactor, igwang sponsor and everything, we can survive. But how about the 90%? Have we really listened to them? Nadangog niya to sinda. Sabi niya to, komunidad kita ni mga disipulo. Can we really build a community na kadakulang maray kang simbahan? Titiripunan mo every Sunday lang. Can you call that a community? Or nakaipunta talagang magbaba, tiribagun iniyo sa mansaradit-sadit na nila. Yun ang thrust kang saradit na Kristiyanang ko. And in that small, breakaway groups, mamati ninda naman ang pagiging regalo kang dakulang balaog na inina sa tuyang inako.
We have praised the early missionaries. We have thanked them. But you see, they have produced saintly missionaries. But they were operating in a model of mission during that time as plantatio ecclesiae, that they have to plant the church and implant the church there, which we don't accept as a concept of mission. So now, the same missionary endeavor is also called, or is asked upon us to become missionaries, but no longer to implant the church, but to discover the church that is already present in among this, the community of communities, the communion of communities. So therefore, the BEC, for me, I think it's they keep on a new way of being the church, precise, perhaps in contrast with the old model. But you see, we can revise, modify, improve, enhance what is the suitable and the best model of mission, and that we can learn. But the call or evangelization is the same, and the call to spread the gospel is the same. Although we may now be looking at it from the different perspective, different lens, or different point of view. So I believe that, brother, you are doing that in your parish, and you're doing the BEC, because the commission or the head of this is
by force
is very is active, no?
Yeah. We're trying so much as we can. Yeah. So Father Philip, siguro dahil tama na uubusan. Ang gabos na reflection.
500 years na.
500 years ay inubos na sa sarong oras. Pasensya na kung medyo napalaba kitang ngunyan. Pero I do believe we have to do more on this, Father.
We have a lot of digging pa.
Kadakol pa siguro. Kumbaga iniyo, nasa surface pa lang kita, nagkukut-kut.
Appetizer pa lang.
Sana makaibanan migarari ka mga gabos na nagdadaralan sa padagos na paghanap kan sa tuyang identidad, no? This identity na bilang sarong simbahan na biniyayaan kan pagtubod na ini kay Kristo. So Father Philip, thank you very much once again.
And for sure, the Rakdag cannot do justice to the 500 years.
Of course.
A 1-hour program cannot do. But these are just teasers. So, giving you some things to reflect upon, or Rakdag nga ni, baga panamit. Na pag-ulay. Kaya if you want to join, if you have some questions, or you want to just post it in the comments, etc., and we will reflect
happily
upon
engage with it,
engage with it in the next episodes. But the whole month of March, I think we will be focusing on this.
Sa gabos po, giraray, Diyos mabalos po sa saindo.
Salamat.